Hey, everybody, welcome back. So, yes, this is live. Let's see how long I can keep my connection, right? They love to interfere with my live videos. So, welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. My name is Samantha. As you pop on, do me a favor, hit the like button so that this video is sent out in the algorithm. Drop over to chat. Tell me who you are, where you are watching from. Okay, so there's a couple of things we need to go over. First off, let's start with this. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, has ordered hundreds of U.S. military's generals and admirals to gather on short notice and without a stated reason at the Marine Corps base in Virginia next week. If you remember, I mentioned that Laura Loomer had put out a warning last week that there were Islamic terrorist groups all over the United States, and that it had been documented that they had been purchasing uniforms, first responders, all of that, those uniforms, and that their intent was to cause a double wave. So they would, in major cities, like explode something or assassinate people. And then when you go to the hospital, they would be there too, also causing a second wave of injuries of American citizens. Now we hear that they're calling even overseas military back. All right, so my son is overseas. Hey, Leslie, I hope you're feeling better, friend. It says it was not immediately clear whether the White House is involved with the meeting or if President Donald Trump will attend. There are about 800 generals and admirals spread across the United States and dozens of other countries and time zones. It applies to all senior officers with the rank of brigadier general or above or their naval equivalent. Top commanders in conflict zones and senior military leaders stationed throughout Europe, the Middle East, and the Asia Pacific region are among those expected to attend the meeting. This should worry all of us. Hey, Denise, love you too, friend. So I wanted to remind everybody what Laura Loomer said. Hey, be extra aware of anything that doesn't feel right. Don't feel crazy. Be a Karen. Call somebody. Islamic terrorists are definitely trying to do something. At this point, most of you may have already heard that yesterday there was an assassination, basically, right, at a Texas ICE facility by a 29-year-old by the name of Joshua Wan, who the sniper who shot at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, Wednesday morning, September 24th, 2025. They are saying that in some degree it is connected to the Charlie Kirk assassination, because before this young man went and did what he did yesterday, he was downloading and watching the assassination of Charlie Kirk over and over and over again. First off, so the suspect's brother, Noah, said his sibling wasn't interested in politics. However, his mother wrote some really odd and crazy text messages to Texas officials about gun rights years before her son attacked ICE agents. His mother's name is Sharon. Sharon penned a lengthy letter to Senators Ted Cruz and Governor Greg Abbott and blamed them for the Uvalde school shooting in May of 2022, which left 21 people dead, including 19 children. How does it make you feel that your action to open up gun laws is responsible for the killing of 21 more people? Sharon wrote a day after the massacre. Do you secretly sit in front of a TV and smile a demented smile? Sharon accused the politicians of getting precious blood money from gun lobbyists and urged them to stand up to the National Rifle Association. So just like an hour ago, I uploaded a video about lobbying. because I've just had enough. You're getting propaganda from not just the left, but the right. Oh, Israel's the biggest, you got to worry about AIPAC. They're so bad. And what they aren't telling you is how deep-seated these Muslim groups are in America, these lobbying groups. And why aren't they, listed under FARA, FARA, the Foreign Affairs Registration? Why aren't they listed underneath them? Because they're considered domestic, because these are Arab Americans, right? Well, that's the same thing with AIPAC. If it's good for the gander, it's good for the goose, and vice versa. And I think that's where Americans, we just need to wake up. Okay, we have more in common with Israel than we do with Iran, than we do with Saudi Arabia, than we do with any of those countries in the Middle East. And I'm going to be really honest. I am super concerned because this young man wrote anti-ICE on the bullet. So that seems to be the new shooter MO, right? Like to engrave their bullets. Camper 14 says, does anyone know where Candace went to school? She was a liberal in school. Camper 14. She was a liberal up until 2018. So just to let everybody know that. So they're saying that anti-ICE messages were found on the bullets. We saw that with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Guys, let me tell you something. Yes, the left is so violent, and they have demonized conservatives for so long. Did you know that there was a poll taken recently, like in the last 2 years, and 30% of college students admitted that they think political violence is okay to shut somebody up if they don't agree with them? Exactly. Thank you, Leslie. She says, with Trump speaking out against establishing a Palestinian state at the UN, we should expect a response, especially since our vote defeated the proposal. I totally agree. But let me make a connection I think most people are like totally missing with this Texas shooter. So yesterday, he just shoots up an ICE facility in Texas. Did you also know that last week, the article I'm looking at was written September 24th. So sometime between the 21st and the 24th, there was a massive blow to the Muslim Brotherhood. ICE detained an MAS Dallas leader, striking at the heart of the Muslim Brotherhood. So September 23rd, federal immigration authorities detained Marwan Maroof, a top official with the Muslim American Society, the MAS, in Dallas. All right. So this guy was affiliated with something called the Muslim Legal Fund of America. Also, it says here, one of the most radical imams in Texas, Omar Suleiman, founder of the Institute for Islamic Research, rushed to defend Maroof, his close friend. He described him as the heart of our community and accused ICE of abducting him and vowed to mobilize support. What? Okay. But Maroof's arrest is not just about his role. It is his explosive because of his deep family ties to Hamas. So U.S. support network and direct links to the most infamous terrorism financing prosecution in American history. According to the Associated Press, from 2002, it was called Infocom Arrest. Maroof was described as the brother-in-law of one of Dallas businessmen prosecuted alongside his brothers in the 2002 Infocom case. During those arrests, Maroof was publicly identified as a family spokesperson. So this group they're talking about, it was 5 brothers. They were all convicted in federal court on charges ranging from illegal computer exports to Libya and Syria to money laundering. They also supported Hamas's political bureau chief and their own cousin by marriage. So what am I trying to tell you? On the 23rd, ICE arrest one of the biggest Islamic terrorist group people, right? They arrest him. They take him off the street right there in Dallas, Texas. The very next day, we have another mass shooting. After the Muslim Brotherhood promises that they're going to push back, okay, okie dokie. So the Muslim American Society decided they didn't want their Muslim brother arrested. I'm so glad, Gray. So I just want to make this point. I just want to make this point because, here lately, we don't need evidence at all on the conservative side just to make connections to other countries and assassinations. So we could say, this young man shot at ICE agents on the 24th because a Muslim was arrested for deportation by ICE on the 23rd. It had to be the Muslims, right? Because, we don't actually need any evidence. We can just make assumptions between point A and point B, loose threads, and put a bow on it and slide it back to the Muslims. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm actually being a smart aleck. But this is why I have a problem with people who listen to Candace and then turn around and go, oh, the IDF killed Charlie Kirk. No, some insane, radicalized American did it. Now, who paid for it? What group pushed it? No idea. But my money is going to go on the side of the group that really hates you and me. And you know who that is? The Muslims. I'm just saying, the Muslims. What do you guys think? Hey, Radical Wave Life. I'm just saying. I'm just curious. I'm only asking questions. Isn't that a little bit of a coincidence that on September 23rd, the federal immigration authorities detained Maureen Maroof, a top official of the Muslim American Society in Dallas, Texas, and he entered the United States 30 years ago as a student. And even though he has married and created a family in North Texas for over a decade, they would never give him permanent residence because of his connections to Hamas, and to Palestine. And as soon as he was arrested, there was a coordinated response from the Muslim Legal Fund of America. And we all know who funds the universities in America? The Muslims. Over $4 billion that we know of. And just the past few years into America's universities. And then literally the very next day, some nobody named Joshua, who was identified as the sniper who shot at an ICE facility in Dallas, the same city. I mean, FBI Director Kash Patel said evidence indicated that Juan planned his attack to a high degree, that he monitored ICE agents on apps and even conducted searches for Charlie Kirk assassination videos in the hours leading up to the attack. And he wrote anti-ICE sentiment on his bullets. Exactly, Kelly. We only see what they want us to see. There it is. And given any little bit of information, you can start connecting dots that aren't actually connected in reality if you want to. Yes, Candace is Eastern Star. She absolutely is. I agree. I agree, you guys. I agree, Wide Awake and Aware 22. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. America is fixing to be hit from within. I've said this. Christians, regardless of who is after us, church shootings are increasing. Okay, we know that. Like the evidence is there. Churches are being threatened in almost every state. Pastors are reporting that they have gotten threats to their churches. It's crazy to me that a Christian country, we have anti-Semitism and we have, Islamophobia, but what is it when Christians are threatened? What are we calling that? This is America. And Americans are being threatened, but there's like no word for it. I have to ask. I'm sorry to hear that, Serenity. Exactly. Left wing, right wing, same chicken, and it's the same in the UK. Guys, political violence is not okay. It's not. However, your children have had terrorist groups funding their universities for like 20 years that we know of, ever since 9/11. They've been pumping that oil money right back into universities. Your children are being propagandized, and so are you. First, your kids are in universities that are rewriting history. They're basically asking your children, well, how do you know if the Holocaust actually happened? Where's the proof? Okay. Who's funding the universities? Because it isn't Israel. So who is it? It's Qatar, it's Saudi Arabia, it's Iran. Look it up. Fact check me, baby. I'd love it. Go for it. Please do. Second thing, if your children are being told and their university is being funded by Islamic terrorists, doesn't it make it sense? Just listen to me. Doesn't it make sense that maybe your kids are being subconsciously programmed to believe it's perfectly okay to assassinate someone they don't believe in? Because isn't that what terrorists do? Isn't that what terrorists do? They attack people they simply don't like. So your kids have been sitting in universities where university professors and classes and think tanks have consistently told them that America is bad and that people on the right are fascist. And we can't let them keep speaking. We need to punch them in the face. Right, Nancy Pelosi? Right, Joe Biden? We need to take them behind the school shed. Isn't that what all those amazing Democrat and liberal politicians have been spewing for the past 2 years? So you've got that end of it. But let's move over to the right side of the aisle. You have commentators within the conservative party that is trying to split us into two factions, pro-Hamas or pro-Israel. I mean, the day before they assassinated Charlie Kirk, he put a video up, which I did a short on, and I showed it at the end of my last video an hour ago, where Charlie Kirk legitimately said, you can't be a MAGA. In other words, you can't be Make America Great Again and be pro Hamas. It simply doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. And you're coming from a very dark place to be on the side of terrorists. So when I think of Charlie Kirk's assassination, see, I watched him for the past 4 years. A lot of people that come on my channel and try to tell me what Charlie said, you're getting it secondhand and filtered through other people. But I listened to him all the time. And what he said was the truth all the time. How can you be MAGA and be pro Hamas? I'm just curious, if you consider yourself someone in the conservative party that is MAGA, how can you be pro Hamas and be pro America? Because Hamas is not a Democrat. It's not freedom. It's not live and let live. Okay, girl, I do. I do too. One day I pray we will all just see humans. That's not happening, friends. That's not happening in this lifetime. That happens after Jesus comes back, but not before, honey. Exactly, Becky. The programming is to divide people. So there's obviously more conservatives, right, than liberals. And after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, we're seeing so many people leave the Democrat Party, right? Because they saw what people were doing online and they're like, ooh, like I'm not getting behind that, man. I can't be part of a group of people cheering for the very public assassination of a Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm going to rethink how I'm going to vote politically. I'm leaving the Democrat Party. But then they come to the conservative side, and now the conservatives are splitting pro Hamas or pro Israel. It's there. It's happening. We know that the Iranian TV now regularly shows Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes on the Iranian national TV. Y'all, please, if you ever see me being promoted in Iran or Saudi Arabia or Palestine, tell me. Be like, Sam, your message isn't coming across the way you want it to, sweetheart, because the Iranians see you as an ally. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, universities are being paid by Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Iran is airing Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes. We connected Tucker Carlson to the Iranian president with a $200,000 payment. But we're trying to connect Israel to Charlie Kirk's death. How about we look at the Muslims, right? How about that? And Serenity, you're so right. She said, this is worldwide. It's not just America. I talk to people, y'all, from all over the world, especially Jewish people. They reach out to me a lot, trying to show me where I can get information and things like that as I try to educate myself, right? And several Jewish women have told me they're terrified. Let me ask you, whether or not you are pro-Israel or not, do you think it's okay for Jewish people to be afraid in America? I'm just asking. Do y'all honestly think that it's okay in 2025 that Jewish people would be afraid in America? Come on, guys. Even if you hate Israel, even if you're not a Christian, even if whatever, is it really okay for Jewish people to be scared in America? Because you know who's not afraid? The Muslim Brotherhood. They're armed to the teeth. And they hate white people. And they're not afraid. So you know what that tells me? But it's like that in every country. Right now, Italy. I have always wanted to go to Italy. My sister went like 3 years ago with my nieces. No, it was 10 years ago. My sister went and she said it was absolutely beautiful. She went back somewhere between 3 and 5 years ago and she said she'll never go again. She said you can't even get near the Eiffel Tower, that the roads are covered in trash. It stinks everywhere. And the people that are there are not Italian. It doesn't even look like Italy. It's like a third world country. They're the wrong people in the streets of Italy, and it's not safe anymore. I agree. Italy is cooked. And Serenity said, I'm Italian, British, American. It's terrible. So here's the problem that I'm seeing worldwide. I'm seeing, oil money being pumped into Western nations, onto universities, and into the pockets of our politicians like Barack Obama. If you watched my earlier video, and I will be the first to admit it was boring as all get out. But you know what? Information isn't always going to be flashy and fun and dutied up for you. If you can't sit and just be educated, that's a you problem. It's not a me problem. I can't make facts fun, but I do have to provide them to you. The thing is that right now, there's Muslim money being pumped into our politicians and into our universities, changing the way that Western civilization sees stuff. Folks, if you're a Christian, the God that you serve was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It was the Jewish God. Did you know that? Do you understand that? That we serve the same exact God. Christians and Jews have nothing at all in common with Muslims. Nothing. We do not serve the same God. Allah is not God. Allah is Satan. Okay? We have nothing with these people. Israel is a democrat nation in the Middle East. They elected Bibi Netanyahu. They elected him. Whether you like him or you say, oh, he's from another country, it's not your choice. The Israeli people voted him in. They elected him. Where else in the Middle East does that happen? Where? Where does that happen? Anywhere else in the Middle East? Where are women allowed to go to university and get a driver's license and walk around without a stupid, ugly headscarf on? Anywhere in the Middle East but Israel. Name it. They can do all three, not just one, all three. They can go to university, they can drive, and they don't have to wear the ugly headscarf. They have to be able to do all three, not one. Don't talk to me about women's freedom and, this, that, and the other when we have nothing in common with Muslims. King Charles is promoting Islamic Muslim. Yes, I did a video on that about how he is no longer Christian. And then you want me to tell you how much Muslim influence is in the world? Every country at the UN vote on September 21st, 2025, voted against Israel except for the United States. So is Israel really that powerful? Or is maybe these Islamic countries that powerful? I really want to know. What do you guys think? Well, Argentina spoke out, but they didn't vote. I want to be a cowboy. They weren't in that vote. Every country voted against Israel to be a one-state solution, but the United States. So again, I'm confused how people think Israel is the all-powerful boogie monster that controls the world, like we're getting told by Candace. How is it when the whole world has turned on them? Let me tell you what's fixing to happen. There's going to be another Holocaust. But this time, there are going to be more Christians involved. Moderate Christians, true Christians, are going to be grouped with the Jewish people, and their goals are going to get rid of all of us. Because if they get rid of you and I, right? If they get rid of you, just listen to me. If they get rid of you, whether you're Catholic or Protestant or Jewish, if they get rid of you, what is standing between the Antichrist and a takeover of the world? Nothing. Nothing. You're more powerful than you think. You really conservative people that truly believe the Bible says what it says and means what it means. You're so powerful. That's why they assassinated Charlie Kirk. And when I say they, I mean, and I do truly mean, either a neoconservative that is backed by Qatari money is involved somehow with the liberals, because they're already mating. They're already mating. Pro-Hamas, free Palestine, and neoconservatives are making babies. Yeah, right now. Yeah, I'm not big on Forbes too much either, Miss Patty. I like occasionally read their articles, but not always. And yeah, and Leslie pointed this out to me the other day. She said she really feels like, who was it, Leslie? Which part of the royal family? The one that married the actress. You guys know who I'm talking about. Somebody type it in there. My brain gets tired. John, I agree that God is between us and them. But nobody would convince me that Charlie Kirk wasn't a strong believing Christian. And we all had to watch what happened to him. The Bible tells you what's coming. No, not Harry. Is it Harry? Prince Harry. Okay. She said Prince Harry. So Prince Harry and Meghan Markle come to the US and they're involved. They ought to have to register as a lobbying group. Well, no, truth. Those two be propagating all over the place, trying to influence American politicians. But the biggest influencer of American politicians right now is not Israel. I don't care how many times people try to say it, it isn't true. It's these Muslim Arab groups. They have way more money, folks. They have so much flipping money. They have so much money. Right? Kelly said the article saying that Trump increased his net worth is propaganda. He's invested millions in just remodeling the White House this year, not to mention how much money he lost defending himself against the court system. Yes, they are all against the freedom of speech. Oh, I totally agree, Sierra. That painting of King Charles where he was all in red, I told you guys, it's all coming out. Oh, I totally agree, Jenny. She said the moment Charlie Kirk would not abandon Israel or its people and made it crystal clear, they painted a target on his back. Who? Well, who brings more money into America every year where universities are concerned and lobbying groups are concerned? The Arab countries. You're going to tell me that Charlie Kirk getting assassinated right before the UN vote to split Israel into two countries is a coincidence? And he was an avid, every time he went to a college, he asked that question. If Israel laid down their arms right now, what would happen to Israel? And everybody, even the ones that were pro-Hamas, admitted it. Well, the Arab countries would invade. They would take Israel over. Roseanne Barr has said it for years. I agree. Serenity. If you're in America, where would you move that's safer than here? Folks, listen, you can't freak out and you cannot get afraid, right? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the Democrat Party. And by the way, the Democrat Party gets the majority of the Arab money. Go look it up yourself. And these are domestic lobbying groups. So they're not going to be under FARA, right? The Foreign Affairs Registration Act. They don't have to register because they're domestic, just like AIPAC. So these Arab American groups gave millions upon millions to the DNC. Yep. They're also huge behind the decriminalization of bad people, felons, of reducing the size of the police forces and removing your 2A rights. My husband and I were talking about this last night. He said a lot of people just cannot even fathom this. But the First Amendment gives you freedom of speech. The Second Amendment is simply to keep your freedom of speech. You have to understand that. You cannot disarm nonviolent people and think somehow you're going to reduce assassinations or mass shootings. It simply doesn't make sense. These people that go into schools and hurt children, or if they want to, folks, they're going to use a vehicle or a bomb or anything else, okay? Just, you can't. It doesn't make sense to me. How is my husband? He's all right. He's got a sinus infection starting again. And that's concerning because it's sinus disease at this point. They said that the fungus and bacteria was so bad in his face that it ate into the artery and caused the weakening and created the aneurysm. And that is freaky to me, you guys. But his surgery is scheduled October 14th. We will drive down to New Orleans on the 13th of October, and we will stay there till the 16th. A lovely lady on this channel got us a hotel room because he has got an aneurysm. We need to stay as close to the hospital as possible post-surgery, just in case. Just in case. So, super excited about that. Oh, absolutely, Nicole. The rise of Islam is absolutely, it's big right now. It's big. You know, you saw Texas finally take a stand against Sharia law, but look what's happening in New York City, which is like mind-blowing. You guys really need to go watch the Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson interview because Tucker did not even know who Mandela was. Like, you're supposed to be into politics, Tucker. And he's like an old man. Like, he's so supported by Arab money that when Charlie Kirk said, you know, Mandani, right? Tucker goes, no, I don't. Who's that? Seriously, Tucker? You acted like you did not know that there was a Marxist Muslim running for mayor of New York City? You didn't know that? Really? But Tucker, you're supposed to know everything, right? Like, Israel's to blame for everything, right, Tucker? And didn't you go to Iran to speak to the Iranian president because you know so much about U.S. politics, but you didn't know a Muslim Marxist was running for New York City mayor when you spoke to Charlie Kirk 2 months ago? Really? I find that odd. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Thank you so much, Nicole. I truly appreciate that. I totally agree. St. Matthew said we need to change voting to be public funded, no primary, make election day a national holiday, only Americans with identification, and everybody has to go in. You got to vote in person, go in. No more early voting. Nope. No, stop all that. It's too easy, you guys. Too easy. Anytime somebody has a problem with Americans having to show their identification to vote, it's because you want to cheat. You want to cheat. Oh my gosh, that's not okay. Cindy said, I just got back. I received a text from Calcasieu Parish. That's like a county for y'all, stating that 911 can't be called by cell phones. For us to use house phones or text 911, who has a house phone? Does anybody have a house phone anymore? What way, Miss Patty? Kayla says she got the same notification. Where are you at, Kayla? What parish? Or what county? What state? Because, folks, I am serious. Muslim influence into America, just like Europe. Look at Europe. And that's America in 10 years. Charlie Kirk was going to be America's next vice president. I guarantee it. I know that, y'all, he was going on trips with the Trump family. J.D. Vance and his wife and Charlie Kirk and his wife were spending time together. Charlie was fixing to train up hundreds of young people to start doing the college tours for him. And he was going to, I'm telling you, become the next VP of United States. An educated Christian that was pro-Israel. The Muslim countries could never allow that to happen. They simply could not allow that to happen. I agree, Miss Patty. And then, after running for VP for 8 years under J.D. Vance, if America was still standing, Charlie Kirk one day would have probably been flat the president. But it's shocking to me how many people didn't watch him before he was assassinated that watch him now and think they know what he said. Like, just stop. You didn't watch him. You didn't watch him because he was pro-Israel. Be honest. That's all I'm asking. Like my daddy said, what you want me to believe, my lying ears or my lying eyes? Yeah, we already talked about that, Miss Caroline. I agree, Serenity. Kayla says she's in Lake Charles. What parish is that, baby? And they're having the 911 issue too. Okay, so let's go over this. All of our generals are going to be in one place next week for a meeting with the military. All right. We're on high alert for Islamic attacks within the United States. The number one funder to colleges right now is the Middle East. You have tons of Arab domestic lobbying groups like AIPAC funding the Democrat Party. 30% of college students say that they do not have a problem with using violence against political opponents to shut them up if they don't agree with them. Go back to what I said about who funds the universities. Islamic terrorists. On the 23rd of September, a huge Islamic terrorist was taken off the streets of ICE in Dallas, Texas. On the 24th, another American assassin shot up an ICE facility And he wrote words all over his bullets. Anybody else see what the one connection between all of these things happens to be? Muslims. Muslims. Yeah, she was kind of getting a little bit out there, wasn't she, Leslie? I saw that too. I saw it too. Thank you so much, Miss Kathy. And guys, I really appreciate your prayers right now. They worked for Hammer. They worked for Hammer. You guys got my dog back up. You know. And now Louisiana's 911 system isn't working for cell phones. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I wonder if I can find what Laura Loomer said about. Let me check. I know this is tacky because we're on live. You guys chat in the chat box over there for just a second. I just want to know if Laura Loomer has updated anything yet. You know what I'm saying? About any more about these people attacking our country. Oh my gosh. Did you guys know this? Somebody just put on X that the majority of Candace Owens supporters and people that are on her channel are Pakistani. So who supports Candace? Muslims. Well, I guess if you're already broadcasted on the Iranian news, you know what I'm saying? Like Iran broadcasts her daily. Like she's a spokesperson for Muslims. So that makes sense. Okay, so let me see if I can find Laura Loomer update about what they're expecting to happen in the US. Because I do think, I really do think we need to be prepared. And don't forget, you've got the Un-F American tour that was like tracking Charlie Kirk, but encouraging people to be really off their rockers. Okay, here it is. This was only 5 days ago that Laura Loomer put this out. Urgent intelligence alert. NCTC confirms Al-Qaeda presence on U.S. soil, imminent multi-city Islamic terror attacks. I just want to say this. Why is it Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson using their platforms to put this information out? Instead, Israel. Be afraid of Israel. They control everything. Really? Because guess what this doesn't say? It does not say urgent. Intelligence alert. NCTS confirms Israeli presence on U.S. soil. Imminent multi-city Jewish terror attack. It doesn't say that. I'm just saying. Sources tell me tonight that the National Counterterrorism Center, NCTC, has officially determined that Islamic terrorists affiliated with Al-Qaeda have infiltrated U.S. soil and are actively planning a series of coordinated Islamic terror attacks. Again, it does not say Jewish terror attacks. If you honestly believe Israel is your biggest problem in the Middle East, you have been programmed. Hey, Cody. How are you, sweetie? All right, so let's keep going. It says, this marks the first time federal counterterrorism officials have openly acknowledged the immediacy of such threats, signaling a potential escalation in domestic jihadist activity since the height of the ISIS-inspired plots in the mid-2010s. We were the only country that stood with Israel. If you don't think the Muslims aren't fixing to try to tear this country apart, then you aren't awake, my friend. If you really have spent hours listening to about how Israel's coming to eat your children and take your soul and how they're the most horrible things you've ever seen, then you've been programmed. Because the truth is, I would rather live under Jewish occupation than flipping Muslim occupation. Want to know why? Because I share the same God with the Jewish people. Yeah, amen, Miss Patty. Okay, so it says that the Al-Qaeda cells, emboldened by the group's resurgence in Afghanistan and North and Central Africa, have embedded themselves across major urban centers in the U.S. Indicators of preparation: uniforms, hospitals, and deception tactics. My source tells me the attack strategy by Al-Qaeda is designed to sow confusion and to cripple emergency response. Again, two different people in the state of Louisiana just confirmed in the chat on the side over here, or maybe it's over here, depending on which way you're looking and I'm looking, that 911 is not working in their community. Okay. These terrorists have been purchasing large quantities of police and first responder uniforms from surplus outlets and online vendors in at least 5 states. These acquisitions, traced through bulk credit card anomalies and CCTV footage, suggest a plan to impersonate law enforcement during the assaults, allowing attackers to blend in, direct panicked crowd, or even execute secondary strikes on fleeing victims. Wow. Doesn't that sound like October 7th? When them young people were running for their lives at a music festival, and here come Hamas on motorcycles with a driver and then a gunman on the back. And as people ran, I've seen the videos. Yes, Leslie, they are giving an alternate way to report an emergency, but they said use a landline. How many of you still have landlines? I'm just curious. If you have a landline, please give me a thumbs up, because even my 80-year-old parents got rid of theirs. My mom was like, I'm not paying the phone company $60 a month and then paying the cell company $200. Like, that's a waste of money. Or you have to text from your cell phone. I don't know anybody with a landline anymore. I'm really serious. Hey, Joe, how are you? Nashville's beautiful. Beautiful. Love that area. And Carolyn said, my cell phone won't even work in my house. Mine normally doesn't either. Ask Leslie how many times she's like, Samantha, I cannot hear you. If I leave this room with my cell phone, I'm talking to you, you're going to lose me. I don't either, Leslie. I didn't even know you could text 911. No, justice coming soon. You don't know that they got a stand down order. No, you don't. Somebody told you they did, but you don't know that. Charlie Kirk looked into that really, really deeply, and he said he never got an answer to that. It was their most holiest day of the year, along with their Sabbath, and 90% of IDF soldiers were off. That is why Hamas picked that day. So be really careful when you throw around accusations that you've got no proof for. If you can't go into a court and say, here is my proof, and win the case, then your proof is not proof. It's just conjecture. You don't even know if that soldier was IDF. I've seen nothing but propaganda coming out from Hamas. Did nobody else see you're starving the children, and then the kid they're showing on the front of Times magazine ended up being a kid with a genetic deformity? Really? You don't know anything but what they want you to think. And the more people tell me I'm supposed to be afraid of Israel, the less afraid I am. I just read my Bible. You know what I'm saying? Try that. Seriously, so good for you. Kelly goes, how effective can texting 911 be? Somebody try it. I don't want to get you in trouble. Somebody text 911 and say, is this working? Does this work? Do you know who I am? We absolutely have the same kind of government. But I'm going to tell you right now, you better quit being worried about Israel, and your little heinies better start being worried about these Muslims, because they coming, baby. They is coming. It says here that they're going to impersonate law enforcement. Wow. Doesn't that sound like people that are like really, really bad? Like super, super, super bad. Oh, you didn't have to time him out, Leslie. I didn't see him say anything like seriously bad, unless you saw something. I don't read all the comments. So if it was something really bad, good job. Sierra said, I never knew you could text 911. Oh, somebody else said it does work, even if you don't have service. Well, okay, Leslie, I knew there was a reason. I knew there was. Well, that makes sense. So even if you have an old cell phone around your house that you don't use, keep it charged up, because you can, people told me, you can push, 911 and it'll still work. But I know you can call 911 from a phone that doesn't have service, but I didn't know you could text. So weird. Anyway, it says my sources tell me the Al-Qaeda terror attack plans in the U.S. are focused on hospitals and medical facilities. NCTC even has evidence that these terrorists are scoping emergency rooms, trauma centers, and triage points in cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, and Miami. The intent is clear: disrupt healthcare infrastructure to prevent treatment of the wounded, effectively creating a second wave of fatalities through denial of care. So, by the way, YouTube does not pay me at all and has not in 6 months. Please make sure you pick up your copy of Growing Under a Poison Sky, because if we do get attacked, at least with this book, you'll know how to start growing food, clean your water, clean your body. You can pick it up legitimately everywhere. Just go to Google and say Growing Under a Poison Sky. The book pops up. Second thing, if you'd like to row in our boat, please do. I usually put it at the end of comments. If you add your email, we'll put you on our newsletter and you can Zoom with us. Folks, listen to me. New York has a very heavy Muslim population. All right. Chicago, Houston definitely does. Miami. These people, when they say they're scoping out hospitals and triages, let me tell you what they're doing. They know what the emergency plans are. So a lot of people don't understand this, but every single county or parish for Louisiana has what they call an emergency plan that they had to file with the federal government through Homeland Security. Okay? So Homeland Security has a written plan, right? It's got a written plan. It says if there's a mass casualty event, we'll stage transportation at point A. If there's a mass casualty event, a mass casualty shooting, the police from point A, point B, point C will rally here at this facility. The Islamist terrorists, without a doubt, have copies of these. They have copies because they're public. You can look yours up. Right now, look yours up. Just, on your phone, type in what is St. Helena Parish, Louisiana's Homeland Security site. It'll pull it up. Then you can look. It'll tell you that you can get food and water here. You can get medical treatment here. That's what I asked Shelly. I was like, somebody text 911 and see if it works. I don't want to get anybody in trouble though. But you see what I'm saying? The Muslims just printed this. Just like they studied how air traffic control worked before 9/11, though I'm going to say I believe that was an inside job, they still used Muslims to pull it off. So, be aware, be awake. I have to go, guys. I just realized what time it is, and I have to get my husband's supper fixed. Y'all know I spoil him. Yeah, I totally agree, Becky. And now we have 5 Muslims and like the federal government believing a different law. I mean, give me a break. It's coming. It's coming. Quit being afraid of Israel and really start calling these neoconservatives out with these platforms. Why are you not telling people to be prepared for an imminent attack when the federal government said it's coming? But you want to talk about how Israel could have assassinated Charlie Kirk? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. That's so ignorant. There's no proof of that. I tell you who did, though, whoever didn't want him supporting Israel. Somebody said we have a huge hospital that is also connected to a children's hospital, and people go back across from the 2 areas. Yeah. I'm just telling you guys, you need to make sure you've got medical equipment. You've got a couple of weeks of extra medication put up, water purification tablets. Be prepared. Kelly, I love you. She said, I just tested it. You absolutely can text 911. Nobody else do that, right? Hey, Miss Rita, how are you? All right, guys. So I've got to run. I love y'all so very much. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. I'll put all the articles that I just talked about and the information where I got it in comments, in description. If you'd like to row in our boat, look in the top of comments. Bye, guys.